Hi, this is Kate from Generate Magic, and this video is for you if you've ever felt disappointed or hopeless, or like the people that you were counting on let you down, or like the world itself has let you down. And or it could be like a course, right? Like a course or a guru, quote unquote, or some sort of like secret formula. Like, I can't tell you how many times in my life I would think that if I just learned the secret formula, that it would just immediately transform everything in my life. And even though I work in copy, I am a copywriter, so I understand marketing language, but yet I would fall for it over and over and over again. And over and over and over again, I would feel just crushed with disappointment when whatever product it was didn't deliver the answers that I was looking for. And I finally recognized what was at the core of all of this. And so part of it is what I talked about recently, this desire to know ourselves as God. But I think another part of it is just to feel that connection with God and to feel that connection with Source and with the divine. And just to feel that there's something, that there's more to life than just this earthly existence. And to feel that we're not alone in this universe. And I was going through a time in my life where I was just feeling like this roller coaster, like lots of ups and downs. And one minute I would just feel like euphoric and like I was on top of the world. And the next moment I would just feel completely hopeless. And I remember, like, in one of these hopeless phases, even telling somebody, like, I just felt this deep existential loneliness, like I felt like God had left me. And so I think some of us, you know, there's lots of different ways to try and establish this connection with God, right? And some of us get into psychedelics, and that was me for a long time in my life. That was, in fact, that was probably the first time that I ever like experienced, or at least like in a real, you know, tangible, very overt sense, experience what it was like to feel this connection with Source. And to feel this connection with this God substance was through psychedelics and just through substances in general, right? And so then once I felt this, it was like this high in every sense of the word. And I would just try to go back there over and over again. And eventually it was like the lights had turned out and the party was over. And in every sense of the word, it was like I had just been ejected from the kingdom. And I would no longer feel that God presence and feel that God Source. Like sometimes I wouldn't feel anything at all. And then other times, like I would feel, you know, a sense of high or a sense of euphoria when I did these substances. But it was different. Like I could recognize that it was somehow like an imposter, I guess is the best way to describe it. Like it wasn't the real thing. It wasn't really God. It wasn't really Source. It was something posing as this God presence or as this Source presence. And it was a very synthetic experience as opposed to like an organic experience is the best way that I could describe it. And so once the party had ended, I just felt this deep sense of loneliness. And again, it was this very like existential loneliness and this deep sense of sadness. And so I tried to establish this connection with Source in other ways. And so that's when I really got into spirituality. And not spirituality in the larger sense, right? Because I think we're always, everything is really spiritual when it comes down to it. And we're always connected to spirit and to Source. But I guess it was more sort of like from the marketing end of spirituality and just all the different forms that it could take, right? And so again, like all the gurus, all the courses, all the programs, and just everything under the sun, like astrology and tarot and pretty much any like modality that you could think of, I tried it. And yeah, sometimes I would feel something for a little bit, but then over and over again, I would feel let down. And so then I guess it was when I really started getting into A Course in Miracles and just doing the exercises, the workbook exercises, when I really started noticing this presence for the first time and being aware of this presence. Because that's part of the recognition, right, is realizing that God has always been with you, right? God has never left you, and it's just that you felt, it's just the experience that you were having, right, that you were no longer, that you felt out of this awareness. And so it's stepping into this awareness once again. And let me tell you, it's one of the most powerful feelings in the entire world. And just this feeling of, yeah, recognizing that the kingdom is ours, that there's nothing to prove, there's nothing more to do, there's nothing more to strive for, that it's already within us, and it's right here and right now. And yeah, there's nothing more to do other than just celebrate in each moment. And so before, I guess the best way that I could describe it is kind of like I felt like I was just kind of like knocking. There was this big door that was separating myself from God, and I was knocking on the door and I was saying, God, are you there? Can you hear me? Kind of like that, the Judy Blume book, right? I know they were making a new movie out of it. Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. And so I just felt like over and over again, I was knocking on the door. I was saying, you know, are you there? And every now and then I would get like little bits and pieces and glimpses of this God presence, but it was never like the whole picture. And then I would feel like the door was closed again, and once again, I was in the dark. And one of the biggest, I mean, it's gradual, right? I wouldn't say it all comes at once, but it's been kind of, yeah, just a kind of gradual, like, understanding, and incremental understanding is the best way that I would put it, and just stepping deeper and deeper into this recognition and into this awareness. But one of the phrases, I guess, that helped me to do this is from A Course in Miracles, and it's God goes with me wherever I go. And so when I said that, all of a sudden I got the sense that there was no longer this door between myself and God. Instead, God was right there beside me. And it's almost kind of like the song by Change called Angel in My Pocket. So it's like I had an angel in my pocket, or it's like I had God in my pocket. And God, just wherever I went, God was always with me. And I know people, you know, especially people that follow like a religious tradition, or people that are Christians, they say that, right? They say that God is always with you. But to me, they were just words. Like the meaning of it never really fully sunk in. And the experience of it never really fully sunk in until I started saying this. And until I started recognizing this God presence in all things. So even just kind of looking as I was going throughout my day, like looking at a table, and before, just something that I would completely take for granted, just this very innocuous object, and say like to myself, I see God in this table, or I see God in this rock, or I see God in this cloud, and feeling this presence just radiate throughout my entire body. And another biggie for me was another recent exercise where I just said to myself, God is my strength. His vision is my gift. And because I think another big thing, right, is seeing this larger vision, right, and seeing the world through the eyes of God, and through the eyes of love, and through the eyes of just this deep gratitude, and not taking anything for granted, right, and just seeing the beauty and the magic and everything, and in these daily occurrences. And yeah, and the feeling is just like you're home, I think is the best way to describe it. Like you've arrived, and it's just this deep feeling of like celebration and this homecoming, in the sense that you are at the promised land and there's nothing else to strive for. And it's not like, sometimes, you know, I hear these expressions, and I used to believe this too, that somehow we had to please the universe, right? That we had to be good little boys and girls and to show the universe and to show God that we were worthy of all these gifts. And in the same way, many of us that are, you know, maybe we're seeking a relationship, right? A relationship of our dreams. And it's this feeling of I have to be a good little woman or a good little man in order to please the other person, right? In order to earn the other person's love. And just stepping into the recognition that no, it's already yours. You're already worthy. There's nothing more to do and there's nothing more to earn. And so the other day I was taking a walk, and I was repeating this phrase to myself that God is my strength and his vision is my gift. And I actually had, the best way to describe this is I sort of went back in time to another walk that I had taken about a decade ago. And so this walk was kind of a different circumstance in the sense that I was under the influence of codeine on that walk. And let me tell you, this walk that I took over a decade ago, it was one of the most magical walks I had ever been on, and which is saying a lot because I absolutely love going on walks. It's one of my favorite parts of the day and something that I always look forward to. But yeah, I just felt like I was just floating, and I was just this multi-dimensional being, and there was no real sense of time or space, and it was just this very magical feeling. And so yesterday I felt like I was back on that walk once again, only this time I was not under the influence of codeine, I was under the influence of God. It felt so cheesy and so corny to say, and it's really hard to put into words. Like, it's something that you just have to experience for yourself. And so I guess that's the main point of this purpose of this video today, is really just to inspire you, right? And just to tell you that it is possible. And I think one of the first steps for me is recognizing what was at the root of all this craving and longing and desiring, and recognizing that, yeah, all these gurus and courses and other people, they can definitely be tools, right, to help point you to that greater source, but the source is always within you. And it's really about aligning yourself with that God presence and recognizing that it's never left, and just accepting it and embracing it and letting it flow into you. And so the last thing that I want to leave you with is this song that I heard the other day, and once again I was just hearing it in a completely new light, and it's the song by Savoring called Hooked on You. And it's a very beautiful song, and it's a very great song, you know, on the dance floor as well. It's very catchy. But at the opening of the song, they're saying, you know, everybody's always looking for the maximum, and, you know, everybody's always looking for the biggest thrills, right? And just bigger and bigger and bigger, and yeah, just kind of striving for more and more and more. And then in the song she says, I don't need no grass or cocaine, I'm hooked on you. And I don't need no pills or champagne, I'm hooked on you. And that's just kind of the refrain throughout the song is, yeah, once you step into that greater love, right, there's no longer a need for these substances. And so, you know, so on one level, right, the song is talking about being hooked on romantic love. And so that's kind of the lens through what I would hear the song through whenever I would hear it in the past on the dance floor. And in those days, right, I was, you know, I was doing all these substances, right? But at the same time, like, what I was really craving was I was really craving this greater love. And I thought it was romantic love that I was craving, but it was actually this God love. And so that's the lens that I heard the song through when I heard it again. It's just being hooked on this divine love. And once you step into that, there is no longer a need for these substances or, you know, any of these kind of earthly or material pleasures. And it's not to say you have to be like a monk and just go out and say goodbye to all of that, because I think we're here in this world, right, to enjoy this earthly existence and to enjoy existence on this physical plane and just to embrace every aspect of it. But at the same time, it's this, yeah, it's just kind of stepping into this greater sense of fulfillment, right? And recognizing that you no longer need any of those material things to fulfill you. And you no longer need those things to feel that godly presence and to feel that divine presence and to feel that connection with all that is. And it's just one of the most empowering feelings in the entire world. And I just want nothing more for you than for you to experience that as well. And I'm sure you already have. But it's just kind of recognizing that it's available to you anytime. I think is the it's the biggest takeaway, right? Is that it's always available to you, and it's not. I think sometimes too, especially those of us who are creators or artists, we talk about like getting inspiration or getting the muse, and it's something that we kind of crave and long for, but just recognizing that that inspiration is available to us anytime. And yeah, when you're seeing the world through that God lens and through that higher vision, it's also, I think it's a matter of kind of alchemization as well. And so it allows you to kind of take experiences or take things that you're seeing that normally you would just see as being very mundane daily occurrences, or maybe things that you would see as being as terrible or things that you would see as ugly, and to see the beauty and the magic and the love in them. And so I think alchemization is another big part of seeing the world through the vision of God and stepping into the power behind this phrase, right? That his vision is my gift. And so that's what I wish for you today, is to tap into that divine inspiration anytime, to recognize that it's always available to us and there's nothing you have to do to earn it. And with that, thank you so much for watching and have a beautiful day.